Ha! Fuck. How's it? I told all that stuff for nothing, and now I look like an ass. So my mic's on now. So can everybody hear me? Anybody hear me? I hope so, because now I feel like a fool. I told all that story. I could have said the person's name that this is even about. Talked about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the Backdoor Beauty. I'm gonna go to Facebook and make sure I can hear my voice. Yeah. All right. So back in the small town that I lived in, back around '99. Can everybody hear me? I hope everybody can hear me. Um, I didn't have any friends. I was new to the town, and no, don't be sorry. Thanks for telling me. I would have gone on the whole damn show with no volume and gone back and looked at it like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm just chatting away with no sound. That means that the people if anybody who watches this on YouTube, they're gonna not hear me also. So this is dangerous, by the way. Talking about ex girlfriends. So back when I started my website rageofrazor.com, which is gone now, um, I wrote the article about this particular person, and somebody messaged me about it saying they were going to sue me for defamation of character because I used the person's name, and I probably shouldn't have done that. But so now I won't use the person's name. It was a girl that I met in a small town that I lived in from 1999 to 2000, 2003. She was like my first friend. So anyway, these girls would come in 17, 18, 19 years old, 20, and even 23. There's our 24-year-old. I can't remember. There's a girl named Christy that had a one night stand with. I used to work at this gas station because there was nothing else in the town to do, and everybody came in there. I was 18 when I got the job, and then I rolled into 19. So I dated. Well, I didn't date. I met a girl. My mom ran a bar called Seven West, and one night I went and played pool with some friends, and this girl came up, told me she had a big crush on me. She was 4 or 5 years older than me, and took her back to my house, and no, yeah, we got down. It was good. But the story that I'm telling about the Backdoor Beauty, again, like I said before, there was sound. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas had come out in '98, and my friend Tony sent me a letter while I was in basic training telling me all about this movie, Fear and Loathing, and how much he loved it. And he's like, "When you get home, we're gonna watch it." And that between that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, American Psycho, uh, Big Lebowski, and what was the other one? I said it. A Fight Club. Those four movies we watched constantly in a rotation. It's like, hey, you want to come over and watch Fear and Loathing? Hey, you want to come over and watch American Psycho? Big Lebowski we watched not as much, but it was in that rotation. Now, Fear and Loathing was the one we watched the most, and so Tony started memorizing all the lines from Johnny Depp's character Raoul Duke or Hunter S. Thompson, and I'm not gonna lie, working at a gas station was actually pretty fun. Yeah, there were a lot of honeys. But anyway, especially underage ones that were flashing me, under age 21, I'm talking about. Under 21 to get alcohol, and they'd flash me. Hey, can I buy some beer? Woo! No, I still won't sell you beer. And special favors, if you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah. So Tony started memorizing every line from the movie for Raul Duke's character, and then so I started memorizing Benicio del Toro's, uh, Dr. Gonzo. Shit. And it was fun. We had a good time, and every time we go out to a party or something like that, we would like just start spouting lines off back and forth, and it would confuse people, and we thought it was funny. So anyway, one night, Tony. So I didn't have a car. I lived 30 minutes away from all my friends, and Tony was supposed to come out and pick me up, and we were gonna go hang out. And he had to drive like 30 minutes to come get me, and then I don't blame him for not wanting to come out all the time to pick me up. I was working up to getting a car because, well, the car I got was such a piece of shit. The tranny blew within a day or two of getting it. So I spent the money on that and had to go back and get another car. So anyway, um, he was supposed to come out, and this was I guess I was 19 because this was in September, October of 1999, and I was just hanging out in my front yard talking to him and waiting for him. It was a nice night, and I had my baseball bat, and I used to, I still do it actually. Just when I'm thinking, I swing a bat, because I'm obsessed with baseball. Almost, I never talk about baseball on Facebook because nobody gives a shit. But I like baseball more than anything, more than horror, more than Star Wars, more than anything. So anyway, he was supposed to come pick me up. Fucking never showed, never called. That was typical. Uh, but whatever. So these girls come. Well, actually, one of them was my neighbor. Come walking down the street, and one of them was the Backdoor Beauty. I can't say her name. Anybody who knows me, who knows the story, knows who the girl is. And her and I were talking and flirting, and she had just gotten into a wreck, and Fairview Heights, where she worked, there was a Taco Bell and a bad intersection. Everybody got in a wreck there, just about. And she wrecked her car, and I told her, I was like, well, whenever you get your car, you're going to be my sugar mama and drive me around. How about that? And first of all, I didn't know how old she was or anything like that, but she said she knew me because her sister used to come in and to the store and talk about me, or talk to. Thanks, dude. Yeah, and talk about how cute I was. And I'll post a picture if I can find one of me when I worked at that gas station. I was quite dashing. So anyway, and I'm like, "Who's your sister?" And she told me her sister. I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, she's pretty cool." And she's like, "Yeah, you sell her cigarettes." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "She's 15." I'm like, "What?" Okay, not happening anymore. Um, so after that, we hit it off, and we started hanging out, and uh, it was great. So she was like, "I got to go out with this guy who likes me. Can you come with me? We're gonna go out to Fairview Heights, which is 30 minutes again. It's 30 minutes away from where I was living, and Fairview Heights is like the center of everything here. It had the mall, it had all the stores like Targets and Walmarts and all that shit. So it was the big area. I mean, other than St. Louis, which is like 15 minutes from Fairview. So we went out there, and she like totally ignored the guy, and me and her were like laughing and flirting, and we ended up holding hands somehow. And then we went back to my place and started drinking and hanging out and stuff. And that guy was just like ready to commit suicide. He was so bored because me and her were just so into each other. And she got drunk. Like she drank a lot. She fucking was always drunk. Like we spent half our time driving around the back roads of this town, and she would be drinking while I was driving. I never really drank all that much. I never was a big drinker. Still don't. My buddy Carlos bought me that Di Serono, and I've only had New Year's Eve. That's the only time I drank any of it. I bought the Rolling Rock 6-pack like 3 months ago. There's one left. So anyway, so yeah, so we hit it off, and by the end of the night, she grabs me, and I had bunk beds in my room at the time because I had to share when I got back from the army. I was 18. I had to share a room with my brother, who was 10 at the time. So she's laying on the top bunk, and she just grabs me by the shirt and looks at me and goes, "I would fuck you so hard right now." And she's drunk, and I'm like, "Oh." And then I was like, "You know what? You're drunk. I'm not gonna take advantage of you." Plus, that dude's out there. That dude that was into her or whatever. So I take her home. I think he drove himself, and that was that. The next day, she called me all embarrassed. Says, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. It's cool. You want to hang out?" And we hung out, and we kept doing that. We were hanging out, having fun, and we never like did anything kissy or anything like that. But it felt like a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, and I know she felt the same way because she's like, "I got to introduce you to my mom and all this different stuff," and she would come up to the gas station, and hang out with me all the time. And at one point, she was sitting there, and it's one of the customers like, "You're here just as much as he is. Are you guys getting married?" And I looked at her, and she goes. And then she says, "Yeah, we're getting married." And this town's so small, it spread through the damn town and got back to my mom. My mom freaked out because I was 19. I think she was 17, getting ready to turn 18 at the time. And my mom freaked out. You don't even know this bitch. And she, my mom was calling her a bitch and lighting shit up. It was fucked up. My mom was awesome. You don't even know this bitch. You can't marry her. Would you get her pregnant? I'm like, no, we've never done anything like that yet. And you know, just teasing my mom a little bit and stuff. And I was like, meet her. You might like her. So Thanksgiving rolls around, and I was like, hey, can I invite the girl so you can meet her and get to know her? I'm supposed to go to her family's house for Thanksgiving too. And my mom's like, no, you're not supposed to go anywhere but here. I don't want you going over there. You eat here first. So I was like, fine, whatever. We'll eat here first, then go over there. She lived 4 blocks up the road, so it was just she walked down the alley. She had just gotten a car at this point, I think, too. I think I did too, actually. At the time, I was driving something we called the Nude. I always like the next car I got. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, I'm gonna call this the Nude. So anybody who rides in the car with me, they're riding in the Nude. And I thought it was the funniest thing, and a lot of people thought it was funny. Really, if you think about it, it's stupid. Hey, you want to go for a ride? The Nude, whatever. One of my friends, Amanda Benelli, loved it. She loved riding in the Nude. So she thought it was just the funniest thing. Anyway, it was a piece of shit car. It was a 1988 Mercury Tracer. Look it up. It's a piece of shit. Anyway, this girl, when I got the car, actually, it was $800, I think, and it had window cranks. The old window cranks, and she fucking broke the window crank. I had to use vice grips to roll that window down, the passenger side window down. After that, should have known then, right? So anyway, things were going good. She came over for Thanksgiving, and she didn't eat because she got the same kind of thing from her mom. Oh no, you got to eat Thanksgiving dinner with us, And so my mom, my mom was a good cook, and she took pride in her cooking. I'd love to tell more stories about my mom because she was pretty awesome. And this girl not eating, she took offense to it big time. And so my mom hated her from then on. That was over. That was it. And they say about mother's intuition. It's usually right, and my mom was right. But I was 19. I was really into this girl a lot because we hung out all the time. We were always together. When I wasn't at work or when she was in school because she was a senior in high school, we were together hanging out, just doing stuff, listening to music, watching TV. We watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer together, Friends, stuff like that, just hanging out. And we never did anything like even kissed or anything, but it felt like boyfriend and girlfriend. And then finally, I had a party somewhere down the line, and we called any party I had at my house. We called it Rave Merrick because my name's Ray, and Rave Merrick wasn't a fucking rave, but that's what we called it. So Tony made a couple signs that said Rave Merrick 99 or whatever. I think I want to say it was right around Thanksgiving. So we had this party, and all my friends were out, and we were all drinking, having a good time. We were all 19 years old and shit, except for Brett because he's older than us. He's 20. And she came and we were hanging out. She was already fucking drunk. Like she was already like 3 sheets to the wind, as they say. And it wasn't anything new. This bitch was always drunk. And I can call her bitch because she was. So like she just comes in the house, doesn't talk to anybody, grabs me, pulls me into the backyard. She's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Fine. Well, how you doing?" And she starts kissing me. I'm like, "Oh, is this finally happening?" We start kissing and making out in the backyard, and she pulls away and goes, "I want to fuck you so bad." And by the way, any woman that says that to me, that is the sexiest thing to me ever. I want to fuck you, So anyway, I'm an open book, just saying. So she tells me that. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So we go in my room. I thought I locked the door, and we're getting down, and like 4 or 5 of my friends just barge in the door, and yeah, they saw us. So it was embarrassing. So we didn't get to finish anything, and she left embarrassed, and I wasn't embarrassed. I was happy about it because it was like I was like, okay, fine, we're dating. This is it. And then I remember Christmas that year, Christmas '99. My mom went. I have family that lived in Indiana, and yeah, that Tracer was a piece of shit. I I had so many problems with that, but I have so many fond memories of that car. It's the Nude. Actually, another funny thing is the passenger seat of the Tracer. It was broken. So like if somebody, I can't remember who did it, but they'd lean back and broke the lever on the side, so it constantly was pushed forward. Because you remember two-door cars, you push that seat forward and it kind of was on a spring and would go forward to put stuff in or people would get in, so it was stuck like that. So it went all the way back too, and so like people would have to like, oh no, that's right, it was laying back all the time, so I had to put books or something up to hold it up so it wouldn't fall down when other people sat in it. Also, funny story about the Tracer, it didn't have AC, so that sucked. But I was 19, who cares? You know, I didn't have AC. It gets hot as shit in the summertime. And when you get in a car in the Midwest in the summer with all the humidity, it fucking literally takes your breath away. Literally, it's like, so yeah. And then I found out the next winter, the defrost went out. So I was driving a car that would constantly, I would fog up the windows with my body heat and my breath and everything. So I had to carry around Windex and paper towels to clean the window while I was driving. It was fucking ghetto as fuck, but I loved it. I loved it. I traded it in for a Dodge Neon that was, let's see, it was an 88 Tracer, and I traded it in, and I actually got $800 for it, which is what I paid for it. And I traded in. I got a 2002 Dodge Neon, I think, and this was '03. So I got like a brand new car, and I traded it up. And never went the Pimpo. Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, you can't beat the Nude, right? Everybody rode in the Nude. Everybody. Some people drove in the Nude. Just saying. I was always driving in the Nude. Anyway, got head in the Nude once too. So anyway, back to the girl, back to the Backdoor Beauty. So the reason I say Backdoor Beauty, she did not have a great ass or anything like that, because that's what that implies, right? So Fear and Loathing. This is where Fear and Loathing comes into play. That Christmas, my mom went to Indiana because we had family in Evansville, in the Evansville area in Indiana, and I lied and said I had to work because I wanted to be with her, the girl, and we ended up, my mom, so nobody was home for 2 or 3 days. I had the house to myself. It was fantastic. I did have to work one of the days. I think it was Christmas Eve when they left. So that was the only day I had to work. My mom thought I had to work on Christmas Day too. It was a gas station. Gas stations stay open, but I didn't. I could have gone. I didn't want to. So she stayed the night on Christmas Eve. So actually, this is the first Christmas I spent away from my family. She spent the night Christmas Eve, and we got down, did all that good stuff and everything like that. But we watched Fear and Loathing Las Vegas, and there's a scene in that movie in a diner where Benicio del Toro is tearing up this fucking diner. It's towards the end of the movie, and Ellen Barkin's in there, and she's a waitress, and the scene, he's like, "How much for that lemon meringue pie?" She said, 35 cents. How much for that lemon meringue pie? 35 cents. What a waste of talent. And he writes this note and hands it to the waitress, and it says, the question mark was emphasized. I forgot one thing. The question mark was emphasized, yeah. So, Backdoor Beauty, Z. So, she thought that was the funniest thing, so I would call her the Backdoor Beauty. And we actually painted it on her floor of her bedroom. She had these weird looking floors anyway, and nobody gave a shit. So I painted it on. I have a picture of it somewhere, and I just thought it was so cool. It was fun, I took a picture of her holding a piece of paper that said Backdoor Beauty, and she put it behind her back, and it was a picture of her butt and stuff, and it was just a fun inside joke. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, and then I was like, "What are you doing New Year's Eve? You want to spend New Year's Eve together? Bring in the new millennium, the Willennium?" And she's like, yeah, that sounds fun. You mind if my friend hangs? I'm like, sure. And so it was bullshit. It was boring. We hung out and nothing really happened all night long. And I could have been out with all my friends. Instead, I spent it with her, bringing in the millennium or whatever. And it sucked. And finally, her friend left and the ball dropped. We were drinking and we ended up, doing the thing. And she spent the night again. My mom the next day was not happy that she spent the night. She had no idea that she had spent the night. She walked in my room and saw me and waited. My mom was nice enough to wait until after she left to dig in and yell at me. And I appreciate my mom for doing this stuff because I'm going to do it to my kids if I ever catch them in bed with somebody else. I don't care how old they are. Anyway, I learned from my mom. This is the best part about her is I learned so much from her. And I mean, I she may have been wrong in my head back in 1999, 2000 when I was 19, but she was not wrong at any point. She was right completely about this girl. And then that she laid into me again about her and how bad she was and she's the town slut and all this different stuff. That's what she said. It's funny how your taste changed. Like you'd never probably date a girl like that. Nope, I never would. Well, the thing is with this girl, she was my only friend in that town. Like and she opened me up to more people in the town. I started hanging out with more people within the town. I didn't know anybody in that town, I like most nights before I met her were spent at home playing, actually, playing the Phantom Menace video game on my PS1 or playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night or Resident Evil or something like that. Like I remember that before I met her, I beat Resident Evil 2 in one sitting. It was like the when it came out. It was yeah, I mean that was my life back then because I didn't have anything to do. I lived 30 minutes from all my friends, as I said, 30 minutes from the world, basically. This was a small 2,500 person people in the town. That was the population. It's 2,700 now, 21 years later. And so I didn't have anything to do. I'd walk the streets every now and again. I'd go up to my mom's bar and I wouldn't drink because I was under 21. And she's like, they had Thursday nights, they had amazing hot wings. And then, I'd shoot pool up there, throw darts, which I got good at throwing darts, plastic tip darts. Loved it. It's so much fun. My mom was really good at it. Um, but anyway, yeah. So, my mom laid into me about that. And I was like, whatever. I'm spending the day with her next Saturday or Sunday. I was supposed to do something with my family. And I'm spending it with her instead. And my mom's like, fine, whatever. You do this and find out how good it happens or how good, whatever. Symphony of the Night. Hell yeah, man. Symphony of the Night is one of my favorite games of all time. Cards on the table. Symphony of the Night is one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, period. So anyway, so that day, me and her are hanging out. She had to get her oil change, and we went out and did stuff in Fairview Heights in the town, and we were hanging out and stuff. And then I like noticed the guy at the oil change place was flirting with her. This is like, come on, what is this? We're together. And it was never a spoken thing. We never said, hey, I'm your boyfriend, you're my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. We never did that. But I thought it was implied because we were always together. Like, I'm serious, like every single day together. Unless she was working or in school, or if I was working, that was the only time we weren't together sleeping most nights, So finally, we were driving back to the town, and it was a small ass town. So there's not, it's 30 minutes away, small ass town, and it's cornfields, basically, what I was going to say. So we're driving, and she's the one driving, and we get a few miles outside of town. She's like, why are you so quiet? I'm like, I don't know. It kind of bothered me that guy was like flirting with you and we're kind of a thing. She's like, we are. I'm like, yeah, we kiss. I put my penis inside you. You like that? What? We're together all the time. She's like, you're my best. She's like, you're my best friend. I'm like, I thought we were boyfriend and girlfriend. She's like, why would you say that? Or why would you think that? And I'm like, I just told you why. And I'm like sitting there, I'm hurting. My heart is like I felt kind of like my heart was breaking. And so she pulls up in front of my house. She's like, all right, well, do you wanna talk later or talk tomorrow? I'm like, I just stopped and I bought shoes that day too. That's another thing. I just stopped to grab my shoes from the back seat. And I just looked at her. I was like, I think I love you, and you should know that we should be together. And she looks at me, looks away, lights a cigarette. I'll never forget this. Lights a cigarette, takes a deep drag off the cigarette, and looks at me. And she's like, "You're you're breaking the rules." And I just looked at her. I'm like, what? I got out, left my shoes in the car, and slammed the door and went in the house. And I didn't see her for a few days. And finally, her sister came in the store and brought my shoes. She's like, "Hey, you left those in such and such's car." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "What happened with you guys?" And I told her, and She's like, oh man, yeah, she told me that. I was like, what's this rules business? She's like, I don't know. I don't know what her deal is. I'm like, well, she's hurting me bad because I really was into her. I mean, it was only like 3 or 4 months at the time, and I probably didn't love her, but she's my best friend. And so, come to find out, she had a pen pal in juvie, some dude, and yeah, yeah, she was playing games. She had me and two other guys. I guess one on the line. This guy in juvie. So anyway, when I found out about that, I approached her and I said, "What the hell?" She's like, "Oh, we're just friends. Nothing's happening." And blah blah blah. I'm like, "Okay, I believe you." And but I was like, maybe we need to keep our distance. And she's like, "Actually, yeah, I think we should keep our distance. I'm gonna hook you up with this girl." I'm like, "What? Who?" And she's like, "Oh, she's just turned 18. She's still in the high school." I'm like, "Who is it?" And it's this girl, this really good looking cheerleader girl. I'm like, she likes me. She's like, yeah, she's been talking about you, but she's afraid to talk to you because of me. And now that things seem to be kind of ending between us, I'm like, oh, so that's how they are ending between us. So I started kind of talking to this girl, this other girl, and she came over drinking in my house one night. This is kind of a funny story and a fucked up story. And she came over to my house, and things were going good. She got drunk as fuck and started puking in my backyard. And I basically I had two other friends over. I basically took her into my room, laid her on my bed, and I was like, "You need to relax and sleep." And I put a bowl in. I'm a good dude. Like I don't take advantage of drunk girls. No way. I never did. That's stupid. I never wanted to get in trouble. I never want to get in trouble now. So anyway, I did that, and my buddies were like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And then I get a call from the girl that been playing the games with me. And she's like, "Hey, I'm outside. Come outside." And I'm like, whose phone is this? She's like, "Oh, it's my friend's." Because this was before everybody had a cell phone too. This is 2000. I go outside, and her friend's got this old van, and she's in the passenger side, and it had one of those step ups. So I had to step up, and I'm talking to her. She's like, "Hey, you want to come in and have a threesome with us?" I'm like, "What? First of all, your friend is gross. No, 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 no." And she's like, "You don't want to do that? Why?" And then I was like, "Well, somebody's here." She's like, "Who? Who the fuck's here?" And she slaps me in the face. I'm like, "Well, you set me up with her. I'm not going to say the name, of course. You set me up with her." And she's like, "Who is she?" Now, another thing I need to explain is the house I lived in had a glass door, like a storm door, but it was glass and one pane. This girl fucking walked to the glass door butt naked, just fucking completely butt ass naked. And the girl that just smacked me, the one that I've been dealing with for the last few months, she lost her fucking mind. She's like, "Oh, that bitch is here. She's drunk. Were you fucking her? Were you fucking her?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, hold on. I thought we were done. Well, it doesn't matter what I do, right? And so she grabs me by the neck and starts choking me and scratching my face. And I fucking push her away, and I fall down because I was on that step. And then they just speed off. And I went inside, and I told that girl, well, that girl's tried, she grabbed me by the crotch and started, "Come on, let's do this." I'm like, "No, put your damn clothes on and leave." And she did. And then the next night, me and that naked girl, were walking around town talking about. She's like, "I'm so embarrassed." I was like, "Yeah, you should be." I mean, my face is all scratched up. My fucking neck is still red from the night before from that girl fucking choking me. It's like, yeah, you should be sorry, and she should be sorry too. So anyway, me and the girl end up reconciling, and this is all before Valentine's Day. No, no, I'm sorry, before her birthday. So before the spring. So we didn't talk. So I started like dating around. I had friends, set me up with girls out in Fairview Heights. I finally had my car. I had the nude, so I could go do that stuff finally. And sometime in early April, she comes around and she's like, "Hey, it's been a while. I miss you. I miss you being with me every day. I think it's a shame that we're not together." I'm like, "Really? It's not now you regret it. Now you want to be with me." And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, not happening. This is over. We're not even friends anymore. I can't believe the shit you put me through. You choked me because there was a naked girl that I hadn't even done anything with. Oh, well, the rumors were that you guys were fucking blah blah blah." No, ask her. We never did anything. So days went by, and she left me a rose on my car, which I thought was sweet, and I was like, fine, fine, I'll give her another chance. I'll give her another chance. So I paint. Oh, I used to, like, landscapes and shit. Not great. And I had started something for her way back in like fucking November or something like that before everything went south. And it was, I have the painting back. I took it back from her, but it was basically these hills and an island with water around it, because that's how she was. She was almost impenetrable. So it was for her. So I finished the painting, and within a few days after, I decided to give it another shot. And so I walked past her house every day, because my house was 4 blocks from where I worked, and so I dropped it off in her car, and just left it in the front seat. One time was leaving something, because I would leave cigarettes in her car because she smoked. I'd buy her cigarettes and leave them in the car. One time there was some dude sleeping in her car. Like, what the fuck? Why is there I guess some homeless guy used to go sleep in her car. She's like, oh yeah, that happens sometimes. Like, that's fucking weird. Anyway, so yeah, so that day, turns out it was her birthday. I honestly didn't know that. I left the painting in there, and it was spring. It was beautiful out. So my buddy Manny came out, my buddy Tony came out. We went out to the baseball field to start playing some home run derby. I was pitching. I think Tony was shagging balls in the outfield, because Tony likes to shag balls, and then Manny was hitting. And I see her car pull up, and I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna ream my ass for getting in her car again. I bet you she will. Because when I left her the cigarettes, sometimes I'd leave a rose and just nothing else, and she got on me bad about it. I'm a nice guy. I think that's romantic and shit. See, this girl and the catfish ruined like my future relationships with a lot of women because of the way they treated me, like shit. So anyway, she just gets out of the car and stares at me, and I'm like, I'm standing on the pitcher's mound, just looking like, oh shit, what's she gonna do? And she like slowly walks to the gate, opens the gate, goes in and kind of just stands there, walks slow towards me, crosses over the baseline, and gets even closer. I'm like, hey, and she just like runs and just jumps on me and starts hugging me and like kissing me, and like she's like, I can't believe you did that for me. That's so beautiful. Nobody's ever done anything like this for me. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, awesome. She likes it. Fantastic. So it was good. Everything was good, and so we started hanging out again. Everything was going great. We were back to normal, back to doing the same things that we always did: hanging out, watching movies, driving around, watching Fear and Loathing, and it was really really good until she ghosted me. Basically, that's the term now. Like, out of nowhere, maybe 2 weeks before my birthday, and she was getting ready to graduate from high school. She ghosted me and stopped talking to me. I'm like, what the fuck? Where is she? I know where she is, and I talked to her mom. She's like, oh, she's going through some weird stuff. And so one Thursday, I go up to my mom's bar, and I'm sitting there having a ski, cherry ski. Actually, if you haven't had a ski, they're fantastic. They're hard to come by because they're localized. It's like a citrus drink with tons of fucking sugar. So anyway, I'm sitting at the bar, at the end of the bar. There's the bar, and there's a little corner, or like the end spot. And I was sitting there, and my mom came by. She's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I haven't heard from such and such in a while. She's like, oh, I've been meaning to ask you, is it yours? I'm like, is what mine? And she's like, the baby. I'm like, the baby? Whose baby? No, I don't have a baby with anybody. I haven't had intercourse since January 1st. And she's like, I wonder whose it is. I'm like, who's pregnant? Who is it? And it's who. That's why she ghosted me. She got, not by me. Nope. So she disappears. Her mom can't find her. Her sister can't find her. Her sister asked me to help find her. So we drive to Fairview. We drive to Carlisle. We're looking for her. We can't find her anywhere. Turns out that person, her pen pal, got her pregnant. Yeah. That was the end. That was all I needed. I knew, like, she had me on the hook, dangling some fucking cheese fries or something in front of chicken wings in front of me. She had me on the hook, but when I found out that it was this guy's and she had sex with somebody who was in juvenile hall for I don't remember what, I was that was it. I was done. Um, I never got to tell her how pissed off I was. Um, and time went by. I started working in Fairview Heights. I had to get out of Trenton, whoops, the small town. So I started working in Fairview Heights at Toys R Us, which something I always wanted to do. I was 20 and I was a huge Star Wars collector, at the time, and this was like a win-win for me. Get 10% off Star Wars figures, get first pick, yeah. So Christmas 2000, 2001 or two, I can't remember what year it was, but we had an associates night, and she worked for the other one. Yeah, cheese fries and ski, man. Hell yeah. Anyway, she worked with the other one, and kids are off. Anyway, so they came, and I guess she didn't want to work there, and we ran into each other, and we walked up and down the aisles and talked, and everything was great, and we decided that we wanted to try to be cool with each other, and then I found out she's pregnant again because she lost the last one. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who now is this father? Another fucking delinquent. And I'm not even joking. It was the town delinquent. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was a piece of shit. And after that, he started stalking me and coming around asking me if I was fucking her. I'm like, no, I barely see her. And it made my life so uncomfortable. So I was like, you know what? I'm done again. This is fucking ridiculous. So not too far down the line, it was 2002, I think. She popped back into my life. She was cleaning her act up, doing all this good, like got a better job, doing better for herself, and getting away from the guys that she was attracted to. She's like, "You're the best guy." She told me I was the best guy, totally out of her type, and she wasn't ready for a guy like me. And I'm like, "No, you weren't. I mean, I was good to you." And she's like, "And you were my boyfriend. No matter what I said, no matter how I acted, you were my boyfriend." And I'm like, "Oh, so 3 years later, you figured that out." Anyway, we ended up fucking around for a couple months. Like, yeah, it was a couple months. She was 20, I was 22 at this point, and then my buddy Manny introduced me to another person to do a video on. Her name was Jenny. She was an Asian chick, super hot, and all she wanted to do was fuck. Just to be blunt, and that's all we did. So, like, it was in the middle of me and this other the girl that I'm talking about, the Backdoor Beauty, were like hooking up a little bit, and somehow she found out. She calls me up at Toys R Us while I'm at work one day. She's like, "So I heard you've been fucking some Asian bitch." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, how? What the fuck? I didn't know we were allowed to have sex with other people." I'm like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "We're not dating," and she's like, "Oh, oh, I see how it is." I was like, "Yeah, you see how it feels?" She's like, "Fuck you," hangs up on me. Hangs up on me. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, feels goddamn good to get you back. She was jealous, man. Jealous. She came into my house next time I was home. She's like, "What's going on? I thought we had something." "Well, you're not going to get this anymore." I was like, "Fine, this Asian girl has got some of the best sex I've ever had. I'm sorry." There was one time me and her were doing it, and she was like starting to slip off my bed, and she put her hands up on the floor to stop herself from like getting hit, like hitting her head or whatever, and just kept going. It was amazing. I know too much information, but yeah, yes, I had fucking revenge. Thank you to Jenny, the Asian girl. I got revenge. I was so happy about it. I was like, "Fuck you." And then, as that was it. I told her, I was like, you fucked me over. You used me like crazy because I was vulnerable because I didn't have any friends. And, at the time my friends were out in 30 minutes away and they were being dicks about coming out. I don't blame them. It was like an hour round trip twice. They have to come out, then drive back to Fair, because we'd always go back to Fairview, then drive me back home, and then drive back home. It's like a 2 hours out of their time, and I get that. Even though all we fucking did was drive around, me and my friends rarely drank, but so anyway, So me and this girl, finally, it was over and done with. And then sometime in 2004, I heard from her again. And this is all before Facebook and all this. She called me, and I was in the mall with my girlfriend at the time, which was my soon-to-be wife, Elizabeth. And boy, oh boy, Elizabeth was not happy. She's like, "You do not talk to her again." Because I told her everything. I told her everything that happened to me, everything she did with me. But for some reason, this Backdoor Beauty had this, like, still had this hold on me 4 or 5 years later. I don't know why. I felt like I needed to be friends with her. And then we were friends on Facebook for a while. And then I wrote that article because I was like, I need to like air out my grievances. The thing is, I got closure, but I still couldn't stop talking to her because that's the kind of person I've always been. Like, giving people more than they deserve sometimes, and I'm still doing that to some people. But I give people more than they deserve. I give people a lot of chances, and I've really toned down on that. But there's certain people still in my life. I just need to get, you're toxic, get the fuck out. And that was with her. And finally, the final straw was, so she read the article, and I got put on blast. So I rewrote the article, changed the name, and I did change a couple of the events and where they fell in the timeline. But there's nothing. It was her word versus mine. It was my side of the story, my version of the story. Hers was much different because it was basically she was fucking drunk and high all the time. So she's also a reason I don't drink. So anyway, my wife died in 2017, and everybody reaches out to me, and I'm so sorry, and it's nice, a nice gesture, and she did too. She's like, "I'm so sorry, I know how much you loved your wife, and if there's anything I can do." And I was like, and this was the first one that started me down the path of like feeling like I needed to either get closure, complete closure, or explain my actions of why I was the way I was when I dated them. Because I reached out to all these girls that I dated. Like I said in the catfish video, I talked to her and got closure finally 20 years later last summer and closed the book completely, even though the book was already pretty closed. But she reached out to me, and I had to fucking get it off my chest. So I was like, well, why don't we meet, have lunch, and just talk, see how things go. And she's like, why do you want to meet? And I'm like, you know what? That's a great question. And I said goodbye for the final time, and I blocked her on Facebook, and that was it. I was like, you're right. We don't need to talk. And I finally, that's been 4 years almost now since I've talked to her, because it was March, no, yeah, March, April of 2017, and I was like, I'm done. I finally, and so this like weight that had been on my chest for 18 years finally was lifted off, because there was still like a stupid fucking what if in my head, like what if there's a way for us to finally reconnect one day, and I don't know why that was in there. And then when I talked to her and she was getting bitchy with me, that weight was like gone, and I'm like, oh, goodbye. I don't ever need to see you or talk to you again. And that's the end of the story. There's a lot of other things I left out between the two of us, because that was just like the time that we met her dad, because her dad wasn't in her life, and there's a lot of stuff that happened between us that I didn't mention. But like, we used to meet in cars, or meet like in the middle of the night and go do things in cars in neighborhoods. It was weird. It was weird. It was fun, weird, and I'm glad that chapter of my life is closed for good. I'll never talk to her again. Well, unless somehow I run into her, which I doubt, because she still lives out in that area somewhere, and I don't live anywhere near there. I live in Collinsville, which is about 35 to 40 minutes away. And I go out to Trenton once in a while now. Trenton's the town. The town doesn't really matter because I dated more than one girl out there anyway. But Trenton was the town that I lived in, and I miss that town. I'll never move back there because of her. But I take the kids out there, show them everything, and there's a restaurant out there that we would go to, and I love that town. I actually that's weird, because when I lived there, I fucking hated it. I could not wait to get back to Fairview, Belleville area. And then when I moved after my mom passed away, I was forced to move. Well, I wasn't forced to move. I wanted to get the hell out of there. It was my mom's house. You know how it is. It's your mom's house. She passed away. It's time to move on. So I was 23 years old, moved back to Belleville, and never looked back. But I did look back and thinking, God, I love Trenton. It was such a nice town. It was quiet. Could leave your front door unlocked, even in the year 2000. Nice town. No cell service though. Congratulations, Ray. I've been there. Yeah. See, that's the thing, man. We all have these crazy stories. And, you know, this is one that had her hooks in me for a long time. And hi. And I just finally the hooks have been out for, well, they've been pretty much out for a long time, but there's no need for me to ever go down that road again. The next time I talk, I could either talk about the Asian bitch that she called a bitch, which really it wasn't much. We just got together and had sex a few times, and it was good. We saw Dreamcatcher together. I remember that, and we got back to my place. That was the first time we did it, and she was like, "Why did we waste our time with the movie?" I'm like, "Good question." And the first no, I take it back. That wasn't the first time. The first time was at her place, and she lived by the Edwardsville College campus, SIUE, and Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. Anyway, we were at this awesome Mexican restaurant called Laredo, probably my favorite restaurant of all time, and they had the best chimichangas. Anyway, we were sitting there at the tables, like 10 of us there, having a good time, having drinks, except for me. I don't drink very often, and she grabbed my hand, started holding my hand. I'm like, okay, because my buddy Manny told me that she was interested in me, and I'm like, okay, well, she's leaving soon. What does she want? And so she grabs my hand and starts like rubbing my hand, and she goes like this and looks at me and goes, you know what I mean? I'm like, let's go. So we got out the door and hit the skins. It was fun. She was fun. And that was about it. The worst part about the whole thing, her roommate, I actually had a crush on. Her name was Kim, and like I had a crush on her hard, but she knew that I had slept with her roommate multiple times in their apartment. And like 6 months later, after Ginny had gone back to Korea, I think it was Korea, I called Kim. I'm like, hey, do you want to get together sometime and do something? And she's like, yeah, because we had a lot in common. Her and I had a lot in common. And she's like, yeah, we can hang out for sure as friends. I'm like, never mind. I just hung up the phone. I was like, never mind. I see that will never go anywhere. So that was the second time I got cut down by some bitchy remark. And the first time was, what do you think about Ray Merrick? I try not to. So I don't know. Another one I could talk about is the girl I took to prom. That's a fun story. I went absolutely insane. Seriously. Because I was fearing the inevitable, because it was the summer that I was getting ready to go to the basic training for the Army, and I didn't want to go, and I was holding on so hard to this girl that I liked, but I don't remember why, honestly. She was pretty. She was cool. She was another one I talked to, and she was like, she messaged me on Facebook in 2018, right before our 20-year class reunion, and we have a Facebook group, and I was doing live feeds like this and talking to my classmates. I'm a good salesman. Thanks, Amy. I'm a good salesman, and my buddy from high school asked me if I could help him get people interested in going, because at the time they only had like 26 people going to the reunion, the 20th. And I'm like, I can try. He's like, can you do some of those live feeds? I'm like, yeah, I'll try that. And I started doing these live feeds, 15, 20 people were watching. And we ended up having like 150 people show up of our class of 500, which is pretty good considering he messaged me, you got to keep doing these, man. We're selling tickets. I'm like, cool. And I did a bunch of them, and a lot of stuff came on the table. I mean, I told people what my high school crush was. I found out a girl had a crush on me. Her name's Stacy, and she's 40 and as fine as ever. Holy shit. It's too bad she's married, but she was my date to the reunion. It was awesome. She was awesome. She lives down in, I think, Texas now. Awesome woman. She's become a friend. I just wish she wasn't married and up here. That's not even a secret. That's not it. She knows that I would like in 2 seconds be with her. But anyway, I respect that she's married. I respect that shit. I wouldn't want somebody going up to my wife and be like, "Oh, I like you so much." It happened actually. Some asshole 20-year-old when she was working at a place called Garda was hitting on her, and we think he stole her fucking saxophone, her $600 saxophone out of her car. Fucking prick. I threatened him though. I was like, "Hey, she's married. She has a kid." Use my deep voice. She's got a kid and she's married to me. You don't talk to her anymore. And he stopped talking to her. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody hearing me pour my guts out. I don't mind doing that at all. I love telling stories. My life, I may not have been a big drinker or drug dealer, whatever. Doer. I never did drugs. I didn't deal either. But my life, my early life before I met my wife was fucking nuts. Those 5 years between 98 when I got out of high school to 23 when I met Elizabeth, my wife, I had so many crazy things happen that I can't believe they fit into 5 years. It's like 5 years. And then here we are 17, 18 years later, and it feels like that time's gone by fast, but those 5 years seem like they lasted forever. And those might have been the best years of my life, even though, being married and having a kid and all that stuff was great too. Absolutely. I love my kids. Wouldn't change a thing about them. Except for my son. He needs to stop farting so much. Ugh. We had tacos last night, and all he does is fucking fart up a storm. All right, Luke, man, have a good night. Yeah, I'm gonna end this. I want to thank everybody for hanging out and watching. If you did, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube. I've got probably a good 6 or 7 of these to do. I got to talk about the German girl that I dated, literally from Germany, Ellen. I'll name her because she doesn't care. There's a whole folder called Ellen on my Facebook pictures. She was everything to me for a long time until I met Elizabeth. So maybe that's the one. I'll do that one next. The original article was called Ellen the German, which what's that from? The Germans. Oh no, what is that from? Oh, from Snatch. That was another one that was in our, fucking what's his name? Jason Statham. Did you get that from the Germans? Anyway, yeah, I'll talk about Ellen next time. The one that got away, essentially. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. I think tomorrow on Unparalleled Comics, we're going to talk to Brian Hawkins, writer of Dragonfly. Dragonfly issue 1's dropping on Kickstarter. I made sure to mention this. Dragonfly's dropping on February 2nd. Hell yeah, dude. Man, Snatch is another one of those movies that is absolutely amazing. So many great lines. Brad Pitt's fucking finest role, in my opinion, is Mickey the Pikey. So anyway, guys have a good evening, and I'll check back in tomorrow. And you know what? I'm very happy that Joe Biden's president. Yep, very, very happy. The cartoon